My mother was born in Morelia, Michoacan in the year 1970. I was born in Elgin, Illinois in 1995. My mother lived in Mexico until she was 18, which was the age when she moved to America. I grew up in America and have lived here most of my life. She grew up in a full household with 5 brothers and 5 sisters along with her mother and father. I grew up in a significantly smaller household made up of only my sister, mother, and I. The two very different upbringings fueled many of our clashes on household policy. Take, for example, the number of times my requests to sleep over at friends' houses were shot down, as my mother would claim, "We just don't do that," or "My mother never let me sleep over at a friend's house, why would I let you do the same?" In my 18 years of life, I've only ever slept over at a friend's house, a total of 3 times. I would run into the same issues when I would try and spend time with my friends, who according to my mother I would spend too much time with anyway. However, when I asked her about her childhood, she shared with me the fact that when she was younger, her mother would do the same and not let her spend as much time with her friends as she would hope. I came to the realization that my mother and I weren't all that different, and that these similarities along with our differences played a major role in our success as a family. That success is reflected in my mother's progress towards her master's degree in education, and my sister being well along her path to a bachelor's degree in art history, along with my recent introduction to the world of higher education. I see us as pioneers, but at the same time this makes me a bit sad. The bar was set low to begin with. Often I've witnessed people in my demographic fall into complacency too readily, and if the same happened to me, no one would think twice or consider it a tragedy. It would simply be accepted. So why is it that my family escaped the stereotype? Well, maybe it had something to do with the amount of time we spent together as a family. It never felt forced. We just stuck together and had time to talk. My mother was able to tell my sister and I about the world we lived in. She was able to tell us about the places we came from, and she was able to hear our questions. She would answer them, or at least try to. We would read books in Spanish that educated us on our past as Mexicans, and the books we read in English would tell us about the future and what we could possibly do with our lives. I grew up knowing where I came from, and as a result, I know where I want to go. My demographic remains stuck in neutral, caught up in chasing money as the answer to their problems. As a result, family life loses importance. The newer generations are identical to the ones before them. There is no evolution. But evolution is key if we hope to destroy the stigma that comes along with being a minority in America. Consider street art and graffiti. Street art descends from graffiti. Street art keeps in mind its roots, but changes them slightly in order to become a new art form. This consideration of the past allows it to work well and move forward. Again, evolution is key. Not too drastic it becomes a whole different art, but not too minute that it stays the same year after year. The same applies to minorities. We have to evolve in order to move beyond the labels placed upon us. The evolution begins when we realize that we can control our future. We can choose to go against the pattern of assimilation and instead embrace our roots and acknowledge that our background is an advantage, not a disadvantage as society has led us to believe. This change comes as soon as we decide that we want it to happen.